In Sherlock Jr., Buster Keaton, the director, writes and stars in his own film. Keaton plays an unnamed young man who works as a cinema projectionist, spending his days dreaming of becoming a famous detective. He's in love with a girl, played by Catherine Maguire, which gets him caught up in a watch theft. Keaton falls asleep and dreams of stepping into the movie screen, becoming a master detective who is tasked with finding the culprit behind a jewelry heist. The characters in the fantasized movie are people from the projectionist's life, with the real-life con man playing the villain and Keaton being the famous detective, Sherlock Jr. He manages to solve the crime and save the girl in this contained narrative before waking back up in the projection booth. The film is incredibly innovative, using pioneering cinematic techniques that would still evoke a sense of spectacle even within modern cinema. Keaton understood that cinema had a profound influence over both our dreams and desires, and crafted a film that perfectly captures the essence of that power, while simultaneously rejoicing in the tricks and techniques that are unique to his films. While the story is not considered an especially well-crafted narrative, each sequence has its own clever, funny idea, which Keaton choreographed and timed perfectly to create easy-to-follow, uncluttered scenes.
Production for Sherlock Jr. began in November 1923 under the original title The Misfit. It was filmed during the winter months of 1923 and 1924 and first released in January of 1924 in Los Angeles. The picture was filmed in black and white on 35mm film. Keaton held 3 audience previews, cutting the film down further after each preview. In fact, he cut it down to 5 reels, nearing around 44 minutes, which is short even back then for a feature film. Aside from Buster Keaton, Joseph M. Schneck also helped produce the film, while story writers were Jean C. Havez, Joseph A. Mitchell, and Clyde Bruckman, and Elgin Leslie and Baron Hook took credit for cinematography and photography responsibilities. Additionally, Claire West was the head designer. Moving on to some specific scenes, Keaton himself says he made all of Sherlock Jr. just to capture film within film. The sequence is a stunning combination of theatrical and cinematic tricks involving lighting, double exposure, and mats. While audiences found it amusing, other filmmakers at the time were in awe of the technical complexity of this simple-looking scene. The dream begins with a double exposure that separates Dream Keaton from his sleeping counterpart. As the Hearts and Pearls movie begins on screen, the characters transform via simple fading effects from the projected movie's actors into the people the dreamer knows in real life. This fading allows Buster to jump from the orchestra pit into the film and be thrown onto the stage and back into the audience. Keaton, the director, used simple cuts to the background as the stage set is replaced by a piece of film showing the front door of a mansion. Keaton's cameraman, Elgin Leslie, first filmed the theater set, then rewound the camera to the beginning of the scene and filmed on location to shoot the beginning of the film within a film. Leslie inverted the process, removing the black tape from the area inside the movie screen and blacking out the theater section. Surveyor instruments were used to precisely match his position on screen as his character jumps from one dangerous environment to another until he finally pops up in a garden and the movie fades out. Keaton's predicament is emphasized by his reactions, all of which are believable, not to mention funny. Keaton expertly manipulates the sense of reality using clever editing and staging. This scene epitomizes the film's exploration of cinema and reality. Shot from long distance, including the audience and the stage, this frame gives the impression the viewer is in the theater watching the events unfold.
The film within a film effect exemplifies Keaton's ability to break boundaries and implement new creative techniques into his films. This technique was groundbreaking in the film industry because it set a precedent of pushing the limits on special effects. Keaton was able to accomplish complex gags while making them visually seamless without the usage of modern-day technology and effects.
In this next scene, Buster shows off his skills at the pool table without the help of special effects. He created many of these shots by practicing with one powdered ball at a time. The powder on the balls would leave a path on the pool table felt. With these powdered balls, he practiced to the point where he could hit the most difficult shots for an entire game. This scene really shows us why many called Keaton a perfectionist. This perfectionism was imperative for silent filmmakers at the time because everything the audience took away from each scene was entirely visual, relying on expressive actions and intentional movement. By perfecting a scene, Keaton was able to fully get across each and every point he was trying to make, all without using sound. In this second scene, Buster appears to jump to the body of his assistant. The trick was accomplished with a trapdoor behind the suitcase and an actress lying horizontally above the suitcase with long clothes, giving the illusion of a torso. With the actress up on the platform, the suitcase and dress concealed a small trapdoor in the fence. Her head and shoulders remained in place, with the dress sloped back, hanging down to cover the trapdoor as Buster dove straight through. The platform and the actress in the dress then dropped down and allowed the actress to smoothly fall forward and walk as though she had always been standing vertically. Keaton later admitted that the crew had spent an awful lot of time getting those scenes. These kinds of tricks are necessary in Keaton's storytelling as they heighten interest, leave audiences in awe, and ultimately separate Keaton's films as the most advanced and thought out at the time. As modern-day special effects like CGI weren't available, Keaton made comedic magic with basic setups, illusions, and perfect execution. In this last scene, we follow Keaton with a tracking shot as he runs next to his assistant on a bike. Sherlock, who is anxious to escape his pursuers, jumps on the front handlebars of the bike. Unfortunately, early in the chase, their plan hits a literal and metaphorical bump. A shallow ditch in the road throws Sherlock's assistant off the bike. This leaves Sherlock unknowingly as the bike's only occupant, and also shows Keaton's crazy ability to ride a motorcycle from the handlebars. The scene shifts from tracking shots, keeping a close watch on Keaton, to quick still shots that watch as he zooms by. Keaton uses both as he zips between cars, knocks over a few women, and even wins a tug-of-war. At the end of it, Buster manages to hit both cameras, knock down the scene director, and collide with the car. Keaton was known for his risk-taking and knack for constantly putting himself into dangerous situations for a shot. For example, one scene from Sherlock Jr. resulted in Keaton unknowingly breaking his neck. This was one of his most famous on-set accidents. In the shot, Buster is running atop boxcars of a moving train. As the end of the train draws near, he effortlessly reaches for the draw rope of the waterspout. The train disappears beneath his feet, but Keaton is apparently left safe. Not part of the gag, the force of the water was greater than expected and knocked his head onto a train rail. He got up and finished the scene, but complained of headaches for days. It was not until 1935 that a doctor spotted a callus over a fracture in Keaton's top vertebrae through an X-ray. The doctor informed Keaton he had broken his neck during the accident 9 years earlier and had not realized it. Despite being injured from the accident, Keaton understood the simple effectiveness of balancing action within a stagnant frame. Keaton uses his still frame to make his viewers think at some point Sherlock will come to the end of the train and fall, but this never happens. Looking at Sherlock Jr. and the Keaton film we watched in class, The General, there are some recurring themes worth pointing out. Keaton, in both, plays with the viewer's perception of reality and fiction, intertwining a vowed love affair with unbelievable gags. The viewers in both films are interested in the awkward, seemingly impossible relationship Keaton's character looks to pursue, yet are never given the expected appropriate finale. Keaton further plays with emotions, making an obvious effort to make his character seem socially unaware and stone-faced. Throughout the movie, the viewers feel similar to the secondary characters, cringing at his mishaps, but more importantly, the viewers see Keaton as defying the outside world, making any and all attempts to fit in. This defiance is rewarded in both movies, as in the end we see Keaton's character as an integrated, accomplished man.
Sherlock Jr. was a box office disappointment in terms of revenue, earning just $450,000 at the box office. The film comes in dead last out of the 12 features Buster Keaton starred in between 1923 and 1929. Unfortunately, film distribution issues outstripped the appeal of Keaton's genius trickery and illusions. Keaton's Sherlock Jr. is also considered to be one of the first examples of American surrealism, particularly in the scenes with quick cuts and differing backgrounds. It's fair to say Keaton was not a self-conscious surrealist, rather a professional entertainer, but not in the same sense as the stars of today's blockbusters. Keaton's great stone face and expressive physique defined his work. He was famous for being inexpressive, but at the same time deep. You can see it on his blank, mesmerizing face. He manages in some miraculous way to possess this quiet, enduring sadness while at the same time being able to make us laugh and keep us drawn into the screen. Critics' reviews of Sherlock were very mixed. The New York Times praised the film writing. It is extremely good comedy, which will give you plenty of amusement so as long as you permit Mr. Keaton to glide into his work with his usual deliberation variety. On the other hand, some media outlets bashed the film, calling it brutal, a flop, and as funny as a hospital operating room. Modern film critics and fans see Sherlock Jr. in a more positive light. In 1991, Sherlock was named to the National Film Registry. In 2000, it was the 62nd movie on the American Film Institute's 100 Years, 100 Laughs list. And in 2005, Time magazine placed it among the top 100 films of all time. Although it was not a success during Keaton's lifetime, Sherlock Jr. has since become a cinematic treasure.